Lynn Enright, VaginaAReEducation. Embark on a journey of discovery and dispel myths and misconceptions surrounding women's sexual health in Lynn Enright's enlightening book, VaginaAReEducation. This summary highlights the flaws of sex education worldwide, emphasizes the importance of proper understanding of the female anatomy, and uncovers the historical repression and mistreatment of women's sexuality. Learn about the lack of research on female sexual health, explore the difference between the vulva and vagina, and discuss the cultural and societal factors that contribute to the ongoing mystery around female pleasure and orgasms.
The importance of comprehensive sex education. The historical demonization and persecution of midwives in the Middle Ages is still affecting women's healthcare in present day. Many sex education programs in English-speaking countries focus solely on contraception without providing accurate information on anatomy, LGBTQ+ sex and relationships, consent, and women's pleasure. Without proper education, women's health is endangered, and misinformation continues to perpetuate. However, the Netherlands has a thriving sex education system that is sex-positive and aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of sex and relationships to children as young as 4. This approach has led to lower pregnancy rates and a healthier understanding of sexual activity among Dutch teens compared to their American counterparts. Understanding the female anatomy. The vulva is not the same thing as the vagina, and understanding the female anatomy is key to combat the misinformation about women's health and sexuality. It's common to hear people interchangeably use the terms vulva and vagina, but they are not the same thing. The vulva is a part of the female anatomy that includes the clitoris, the mons pubis, the inner and outer labia, and the vaginal and urethral openings. The vaginal opening is not just a hole, it is a muscular tube with 2 walls that can expand immensely and is enclosed and self-cleaning. Self-consciousness and misinformation about the female anatomy are common among women of all ages. For example, many are concerned about the length of their inner labia, but a 2018 Swiss study showed the range to be from 2 to 10 centimeters. The clitoris, on the other hand, is the only organ in the human body whose sole function is to provide sexual pleasure and arousal. The inner sex organs, including the uterus, cervix, ovaries, and fallopian tubes, play critical roles in the reproductive system. The uterus is the source of menstrual blood and expands dramatically during pregnancies. Its opening, the cervix, is a tiny hole through which menstrual blood or seminal fluid can pass. On either side of the uterus are the ovaries, which store and mature eggs, and also produce hormones that regulate the menstrual cycle. It is essential to learn about the female anatomy, in all its complexity, to combat widespread misinformation about women's health and sexuality. By doing so, we can shed light on issues surrounding self-image, reproductive health, and sexual enjoyment. Hymen myth debunked. The author shares her personal experience with the misrepresentation of the hymen and how it has been used to control women's sexuality. She explains that the hymen is not a reliable indicator of virginity and has no biological function. The belief in its significance stems from a misogynistic agenda to shame and control women. The author also sheds light on the dangerous and harmful practices related to hymen repair. The neglected pleasure organ. The clitoris is the only organ that exists solely for female pleasure, yet it has been ignored in sex education and scientific research. The minimization of women's pleasure stems from deep societal inequality and is even seen in the violence of female genital mutilation, FGM. It took until 1993 for urologist Helen O'Connell to discover that the clitoris was much larger than previously believed. Despite this, mainstream education has failed to include such information. The resistance to FGM is growing, but it is still prevalent in 30 countries and has affected approximately 200 million females. Women's pleasure should be valued and protected with the same care given to male sexual function. The female orgasm unveiled. The societal misconceptions and shame surrounding the female orgasm cause neglect of its many forms, leading to the orgasm gap between the sexes. For the author, the pursuit of orgasms was a source of shame throughout her life, starting with the secret desire for an orgasm, which was not discussed in school or openly among peers. Despite experimenting with masturbation, the inability to experience an orgasm triggered further shame. Even when achieving orgasms through clitoral stimulation, the author felt shame for not attaining the socially preferred vaginal orgasm. The root of the problem, the author suggests, lies in the societal idealization of vaginal orgasms propagated through cultures, although unsupported by science. Sigmund Freud's outdated claim regarding clitoral orgasms' immaturity further complicates the matter. His theories align with the patriarchal values, putting the focus on male pleasure and deeming female orgasms irrelevant, leading to neglect of the different forms of female orgasms obtaining outside the vagina and triggering the orgasm gap. To close the orgasm gap, it is essential to stop categorizing orgasms and focus on educating society about female sexuality and pleasure. A significant study highlights that sexually active heterosexual women experience fewer orgasms than any other demographic, while the unsatisfactory experience with casual partners affects orgasm frequency. It is crucial to discuss the female orgasm's potential forms and for women to verbalize their pleasure to attain gender equality in sexual satisfaction. In conclusion, it becomes imperative to talk more openly about female pleasure and move beyond seeing sex from the male perspective, as this understanding may help close the orgasm gap between the sexes. Endometriosis and the taboo of women's pain. The UK's National Institute for Health and Care Excellence formally declared that doctors must listen to women with symptoms of endometriosis, a painful disease where tissue similar to the uterus lining grows outside the womb, causing chronic pain and possible infertility. Despite the advisory, women's pain is often overlooked, and the diagnosis can take 7 to 8 years. The root cause of this problem is the shame and suffering caused by taboo, ignorance, and oversight toward women's pain. Women's pain is often considered hysterical, and they wait longer for treatment than men and receive less pain medication. Additionally, there is no scientific basis for this attitude. Women also suffer labiaplasty, a fast-growing plastic surgery to modify the inner labia due to flawed idea of what constitutes a normal, attractive vulva. It's time to end the taboo around women's pain and support patients with endometriosis. Menstruation stigma. The need to tackle period stigma is crucial in improving the lives of almost 2 billion menstruating individuals worldwide. Though menstruation is a natural biological process, it is surrounded by secrecy and shame, leading to unnecessary pain and suffering in many parts of the world. Women experience physical discomfort such as cramps and PMS, and period poverty is widespread, affecting the most vulnerable women, including those in developing countries who have to engage in prostitution to access sanitary products. Moreover, the traumatic first experience of menstruation stems from the strict gender role culture that is linked to the loss of innocence and the perception of girls and women as sexual objects. By being more open about periods and empowering more women, we can ease the biological discomfort of menstruation and stop the stigmatization of almost half the global population. Reproductive injustice. The burden of fertility and pregnancy is unfairly placed on women, leading to a lack of options for birth control and a flattened understanding of childbirth experiences. The use of hormonal contraception for women comes with numerous side effects, including weight gain, depression, and decreased libido, among others. Male contraception options such as condoms and vasectomies are limited and not a viable solution for many couples. While multiple drug trials for male hormonal contraception have been conducted, they've been repeatedly halted due to men experiencing similar side effects as women. The conversation surrounding fertility and pregnancy is also unfairly focused on women. Many women face pressure to put off pregnancy, despite the cost of childcare and economic factors forcing them to delay parenthood. However, fertility is complex and not solely about a woman's biological clock. In fact, half of all couples experiencing infertility unrelated to age are due to abnormal semen quality or male sexual dysfunction. This reality offends the idea of male virility, leading to a lack of attention and resources towards male infertility. The understanding of pregnancy and childbirth experiences also needs improvement. Pregnancy anecdotes and experiences vary widely, yet the societal narrative of pregnancy is often flattened into a standard story. This can lead to harmful practices such as episiotomies performed without the person's consent. It's essential to make a birth plan outlining specific needs and preferences to ensure a positive and autonomous childbirth experience for women, trans, or non-binary individuals. In conclusion, the current conversation surrounding fertility and pregnancy needs a major shift. The burden of birth control and pregnancy should not be exclusively placed on women, and a more nuanced and inclusive understanding of fertility and childbirth experiences is essential. Menopause and the erasure of women's sexual health experiences. Menopause is a natural process marking the end of menstruation, but its symptoms can be debilitating, causing depression, hot flashes, and low self-esteem. Regrettably, a lack of conversation around women's sexual health means that experiences of menopausal women and trans people are often erased. Cis people assume that trans people plan to have gender confirmation surgeries, while menopausal women suffer silently as a result of ageism, misogyny, and no discussion about their symptoms. It is imperative to have an inclusive conversation about reproductive and sexual health that goes beyond gender roles and acknowledges our experiences beyond our biology.
In conclusion, Vagina, a Re-Education offers a much-needed exploration of the female anatomy and sexual health, stressing the importance of addressing the inadequacies of sex education and societal taboos. The book illuminates the need for a more comprehensive understanding of women's sexual and reproductive health and advocates for a more inclusive and accurate conversation that encompasses people of all genders. By challenging accepted norms and promoting open discussion, we can empower individuals to take control of their own bodies, bridge the orgasm gap, and improve the experiences and well-being of women and people with vaginas.